It does work. So, be sure and pick up cards for questions. At this point, I have one question. We may get out of here really early unless you want to test them. I know the sound people will not appreciate spending more time setting up than the event. So let's see what your interests and what we want to talk about tonight. So take a card. You came because you're concerned about Nevada and you want to ask questions. So please step forward and get a card. And Phyllis will bring one to you and she'll pick it up. So, okay. So, if our cameraman and our mics are ready, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So, okay. Good evening, and welcome to the Forum for Candidates Running for Nevada Mayor and City Council. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County. For those of you who may not be familiar with the League is a nonpartisan political organization dedicated to encouraging residents and citizens to be informed participants in their government on the local, state, and national levels. This forum is being recorded for upload to the YouTube and the League of Women Voters Ames and Story County Facebook page. It will be archived and replayed at a later date on KHOI FM Community Radio 89.1. So watch for it. You can get to that radio station on the computer and stream it. So today is Thursday, October 9, 2025. I am Carolyn Klaus, a member of the League, and I will moderate tonight's forum. Let's begin. All declared candidates for these offices have been invited to this forum, and all are present. Thank you. The candidates are Ryan Condon for mayor, Barbara Mittman for mayor, Andy Kelly for council at large. Are these right? You're Andy, right? Okay. I'm just meeting these people for the first time. Melissa Muschik for council at large. Luke Spence for council ward 2. Charles Good for council ward 4. Dane Nielsen for council ward 4. The forum this evening will be divided into 3 sections. First will be the candidates' opening statements. Next, the candidates will take questions from you, the audience. And third and finally, closing statements from the candidate if time allows. Audience, remember, if you have a question to ask the candidates, please raise your hand and a runner will bring you a card or collect a card from you. I will read these questions to the candidates. Alternatively, you may step to the mic and ask a question. You'll share my mic. We'll put it right over here. We will start with introductory remarks from the candidates. You will each have 3 minutes to introduce yourselves. Where's our timer? You need to come up front. You get one of the soft chairs.
I didn't want to be on a video.
I know.
Might be recognized.
So, all right, you will have 3 minutes for your introductory remarks. The timekeeper will hold up a card when you have 30 seconds left in your allotted time. You don't have to talk all 3 minutes, let me tell you, if that seems forever. We'll start with introductory remarks from Ryan.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. My name is Ryan Condon, and I'm running for mayor of Nevada. I won a special election back in March, and I came in at a really calm time with the city. Nobody was upset. There was. I have been a resident of Nevada for 16 years. Before that, I graduated from ISU, where I met my wife. I come from a military family, lived pretty much all over the world, and so joined the Army when I was in college as well. Did a deployment over to Egypt. Just as I was graduating ISU, came back, got a job at YSS with Barb Mittman, actually, about 25 years ago. We were both working Project Alert in Nevada, Ames, and Boone schools. My family grew a little bit, so I had to get a better paying job. As much as I love YSS, it wasn't paying the bills. And so I ended up moving on with the state. I took a position as child support recovery officer, an investigator for the public defender, and an unemployment fraud investigator. Now I do Medicaid investigations, and I help with applications. I am running because my wife got tired of me complaining, and she told me either shut up or do something about it. I went and filed to run for office. I don't think that's what she meant. I think she meant shut up. But since my time here, I've learned a lot. It's been a challenging time. I haven't been in office very long, but I've met some great people and happy to run again.
Barbara. My name is Barb Mittman. I too am running for mayor. I want to continue to commit to the service and securing the well-being of Nevada that I've been participating in since my time at YSS. I was elected to the Nevada City Council in 2015, representing Ward 1. I served 2 consecutive 4-year terms as both Ward 1 and some of that time as Mayor Pro Tem. This experience, plus my service with Nevada Food at First and 2 terms of AmeriCorps service here in Nevada at Central Elementary, these experiences have equipped me to meet significant needs, develop creative and purposeful collaborations, enhance city services, and engage persons of all ages in vital ways. My experience specifically on the Nevada Council has offered me a chance to develop relationships with public, private, and corporate leaders, to be involved in meaningful partnerships, to leverage resources and make decisions that contribute to the quality of life in Nevada. My long personal record of community service also gives me the background, expertise, judgment, and collaboration skills to guide Nevada into this next chapter. We live in a thriving community. Nevada is experiencing exciting development, and we're poised to manage both current and future growth. Much of what contributes to the quality of life in Nevada is the direct result of collaborations supported by city leaders, neighbors, and business people. I want to put my leadership and experience to work and serve as the mayor of Nevada, the community I've called home since 1985.
Andy?
I'm Andy Kelly, running for council at large. I've been in Nevada for 25 years. I got married here and started a family. We own a couple of businesses in town. I attended several years of council meetings. I've attended council meetings for about 24 years. Several meetings in attendance, and then 12 years on council, Ward 2. The middle term, Mayor Pro Tem, acting mayor for the last 6 months of my second term. It wasn't a lot of fun. There was some issues. We had some turnover. But it was rewarding. I learned a lot of stuff, and I had the pleasure of dealing with some people that were a lot smarter than I was. And then we got out. I concentrated more on the business and the kids, but continued to attend council meetings. The last couple of years, I've kind of been involved with some issues with the city, but that's separate. That's just something that happened, but I'd have people that talked to me. We understood the procedures and went through it. And the last year, the council has seemed, in some cases, to be a little bit less friendly towards the public. Some things I took exception to. And up until recently, I was trying to help a resident with a wrong that I felt was done to them on a city project, and got to the point where I had a couple of council members that wouldn't respond to me at all. And that was the point. When people would disagree with me, that's fair. You make your case, you go before them, you say your piece, it's an open forum. And it's yes or no. You can live with it, you can come back and fight another day. But to the point where I couldn't even have discussions with council people, it was time there to put up or shut up. It was either accept what was going on or try to do something about it. So I figured I'd run. I'm going to the meetings anyway. It was the worst that happens is people don't agree with me, and I don't get on. I'll continue going to the meetings and saying my piece. But I would like to see a change in how the public is being treated, and I'd like to make sure that we're communicating with the public.
Melissa?
Hi, I'm Melissa Mushik, breaking the table apparently. My husband and I are second generation Nevada grads. So we just actually graduated our daughter this May, and that was fun to see her walk across the same stage as we did not that long ago. Nevada isn't just where we live, it's a home for now generations of our family. We chose to stay here, we love it here. Our kids love it here. My hope is that they go off and they do their thing and then they come back here and start a family. That's what we want for them. For experience, I've had 15 years in leadership roles. I've held 3 jobs in my life. One of them was for 13 and a half years. I left, that was a marketing print company. I was there and left as vice president of that role. I worked in tech for 2 years. I was the vice president there. And I currently work at Discover Ames, which is the Story County's Convention Visitors Bureau. And I'm the director of partner and community engagement. So I'm the people person that goes out and makes sure everybody loves what's going on in the town. I've served on countless boards, both nonprofit and for-profit. And I've served all sorts of roles within that, president, vice president, secretary, all the things. What I've learned while working at those and on those boards is the value of listening. You have to be able to work with people who don't see things the same way as you. You have to be able to have those tough conversations, but you have to have them respectfully. And that's how progress happens. If we're not kind to one another and you can't see others' perspective, nothing goes anywhere. Nobody's right all of the time. So we have to be able to lean on each other and hear what other people are saying. I'm running because I'm thoughtful, I ask questions, I make decisions that are best based on fact and what's best for the residents. Because I care about Nevada's future, I want to see smart growth, strong communication, and a community that families want to stay and be proud to call their home. I want everyone to be excited when they tell people, I live in Nevada.
Okay, Lou?
Well, I want to first thank everyone for coming tonight. Thank the league for putting this on, Mary and Carolyn and all the volunteers who are doing this, and for the library for hosting us as well. My name's Luke Spence. I'm running for Nevada City Council in Ward 2. My wife Stephanie and I moved here in 2015 from the Indianapolis area. I grew up in the Quad Cities, went to college in Dubuque. I've been a pilot for 27 years, and I currently am a pilot for United Airlines since 2020. My wife Stephanie is a mental health therapist at Ankeny, and we have 3 kids, Jack, who snuck in the back there, Cameron and Megan, who are all still at home right now. I served in this seat from 2018 through 2021, was elected again in the special election earlier this year. I created and still lead the Nevada Community Garden, which provides fresh produce for all the food banks and free meal organizations in town. I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge and the Kiwanis Club, and the previous past president of the Kiwanis Club. And I've also spent time on the Library Board and the Historical Preservation Commission in Nevada as well. I'm running because we need advocates for the people and services that make this town work. The greatest asset in our community is the people who live here, and I want to work to improve the quality of life for our citizens. And I believe if we do that, we'll see the economic growth that we would like to see in town. Some of the ways I think we can do this: repairing and expanding our sidewalks and trail system, investing more in human services, organizations as well as the various nonprofits who serve our children and our community. Starting the yard waste removal program are just a few of the ideas I have to help do that. We also need a council that brings different perspectives to the table. Diverse opinion and discussion is essential to success, in my opinion. I've said before at many council meetings, if everyone in the room agrees, we either have the wrong people in the room or we aren't talking about anything important. We need leaders that can see that need for new and diverse backgrounds and make sure all sides of an issue are present when the decisions are made and that they feel enabled to speak up. I don't feel like that's been a priority in the past. I believe that I have the experience to help make that happen. So I'm glad to be here and looking forward to tonight.
Okay, Charles.
Charlie Good, previous owner now of Good and Quick after 31 years. I been in business for 47 years, 31 here, lived here in Nevada since 2013. My experience is basically business experience. I worked for a 125 store chain in Illinois. Before I decided to do this, I was a convenience store consultant back in the early 80s. And one of the last stores that I built was the closed store across from the hardware now. That was one of the last stores I built as a consultant back in the 80s. I go to Washington, D.C. every year to advocate for ethanol for the American Coalition for Ethanol and the Iowa Renewable Fuels Association. I've met with President Trump in the White House. I've met with countless congressmen and senators to advocate for the Iowa farmer and the ethanol industry. I've been there 12 years. This will be my 13th year. I'm going to continue to do it. So I know how to, I'm not just a yes man. I get in the room and I have my opinions and I say what the opinions are. The reason we have E15 in Iowa is because I was there, was part of that. I was asked to go by Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst. I'm running because I feel that I've been to quite a few council meetings and I've been involved in a lot of council meetings where a lot of big things have been decided. And sometimes I don't believe that the council listens to the will of the people. And in the past year, to me that's been more than normal, I would say. I have to agree with Luke that if you surround yourself with yes people, you're surely setting yourself up for failure. I was able to take the worst district in a company and make it the second most profitable. And I was told you can do whatever you need to do as long as you do it within the perimeter of the company. So there's many things you can do in the city to make it better and more prosperous and more profitable. And some of these things run better and easier if we have diverse opinions and we have actual communication about what's right and what's wrong, or what my feelings is and what your feelings are. I haven't seen a street project in the past few years. Sidewalk projects haven't been done, and you know, there's quite a bit of stuff. I tried to hold myself to a higher standard with the business being where it was, that I needed to set precedent for business in Nevada, what we should look like and what we should be. So I have 4 kids. One works Polk County Deputy, one works for the FBI, another one works in Ankeny, and then my daughter is a senior this year at school. Thank you.
Dane?
Good evening, folks. Dane Nielsen. I am the current city representative for Ward 4. Kind of thankful to be the 7th one in line speaking tonight. I had to rush over here from the elementary school for their open house. My 6-year-old who's in 1st grade and my 4-year-old who's in preschool were very excited to show off their work, and I was like, all right, we got to keep moving, guys. So do want to thank the league, though, for hosting this forum. I know sometimes there's frustration with having enough of these forums, and especially at a time where people can attend. So thank you to the league and to the volunteers who put this all together. I was first elected to City Council in 2017. I grew up in West Liberty, Iowa, moved here in 2017. Had lived in Ames prior to that. Affordability for housing was the big reason that our family chose to relocate here, and I've loved every minute of it since. Like I said, I've got the 2 kids in the school district here. They love it. They're doing a great job, and I want to compliment the school district as well. Graduated from Iowa State in 2010. I've been involved with a lot of things locally on the Pizza Palooza committee. I'm a member of the Nevada Lions. I work at New Cara Pharmacy as a pharmacy technician during the day. I also own my own business on the side as the DJ. So DJ a lot of weddings and a lot of other nonprofits. I was on the Main Street Nevada board when the organization was first brought into existence. I love serving this community, and I'm asking for your support for 4 more years, starting next week, I guess, when voting starts at the administration building. For me, it's a simple question. Where is Nevada now versus 8 years ago? And this is why I decided to run again. We've done a lot of successful things the last 8 years, whether it be the field house, the downtown infrastructure project, joining the Main Street Nevada community, job growth through Burke, through Mid-States, through Elmago, through others, Verbio, who have invested heavily in our community, and that is hugely beneficial to our community, helps grow our tax base to give us the resources to be able to do things as a city, even as the state continues to mess with our funding formula every year and make things less predictable. So excited about the growth we've had, and now the housing too, to keep up with that. You know, we've got the employees, now we need to bring them to town. We've got multiple housing developments going on. Those are exciting to see. We've seen the trail expansion. We've seen so many different things the last 8 years. Not to say that we're perfect, and I'm going to take a little exception to the assertion that it's just a yes man, it's a team effort. We have discussions and then we move forward. We disagree sometimes. I know Luke and I have disagreed through the years a few times, but I firmly believe that he's got the best interests of our town in mind, and so disagreement is fine, just keeping it in a way that's positive and productive for our community.
Okay, thank you. That completes that session of introductions. We'll now move on to questions from the audience, and I have more than one now, so get comfortable. Candidates, you will have 2 minutes to give your response to each question. So, and we'll start with Barb on this one. What city services do you want to see enhanced to improve the quality of life in Nevada?
One of the things that comes to mind almost immediately is how we come together. We're on that edge of being ready not just to accept what's happening now, but to move forward and to have even more opportunities to call Nevada back, to encourage that pride and to encourage the solidarity. I'm thinking that it's the communication piece, and there's already been some conversation about that. When issues have faces and people have an opportunity for honest face-to-face conversation, then the possibility of moving forward seems more, it just seems more possible, more doable. And so as I start to think about that, from my perspective, I think we had an opportunity in a very formal way to think about the future of Nevada. In 2020, we sat down, we invited people to to complete a survey about what could Nevada look like in 2040. What are those boxes you'd want to check to be that kind of community that you're proud of, that you can back that leadership. And there's some things there that as I think about that as a guide, there was more activities, park and rec, information about how people can more safely get around town, things that have to do with human services, with housing. But I think that the piece that comes next is that actual conversation. So we know right now, as we're approaching 2030, where are we? Where are we right now?
Andy?
I'm a small government guy, and I'm a plumber in town, and we've had a wet summer. So as far as city services, I've been dealing with that and still dealing with it. It was an issue when I was on council before. We had areas that did not have storm sewers, so we implemented a storm sewer project. Had a city match for sump pump hookups. We made a conscious effort that when we were doing utility work or road work, we try to do full depth reconstruction. And the problem is, it's very expensive to do full depth reconstruction, but it kind of seems like a waste of money to do asphalt overlay on a lot of what we've got in town. So I paid attention, I go to the council meetings, and we've been trying to finalize that agreement with Burke. It looks like it's finalized. We had an advisor from the city that advised almost double the proposed rate of what the city did. And their point was that at the rate we were going to adopt, that wasn't any more repair of anything else. That we had a chunk to pay off of $30 million of debt. That still wasn't improvements. So as far as city services, aligning with what I think government should be, it's pretty straightforward what I see. I work with the city employees, I'm digging in the dirt, I'm going on the GIS maps. I have customers that I can't solve problems for because we don't have drainage in their areas. We've got customers on E Avenue that the road has beat the sewer lines down under the road and it's settling. I've got customers that I can't have answers for because there isn't equality among all of the developments. There's some developments with infrastructure in better shape than others. So as far as city services, I think we need to make an effort to be spending more on infrastructure repair.
Melissa?
I totally agree with Andy on that infrastructure repair. I live in the probably oldest part of Nevada, and we have the oldest infrastructure when it comes to what's underground. And so thinking ahead and knowing, hey, when is this street planning to be done? I think those are the type of questions or the type of communication we need to be having with people. So if I know that my road is going to be scheduled to be repaired in 2029, then I as a homeowner can start planning for that ahead of time. I know it's going to be expensive to replace the sewer coming from my house to the road and anything else that might be underground, but that's going to save me money because it's already done. So being able to communicate that ahead of time and knowing what does that schedule look like. And as a community, knowing sometimes it's going to fluctuate a little bit because things happen. Childcare is also something that I think really needs to be addressed. I remember when I was young and had my kids and how much of a struggle it was to be able to find care for them. And that was now 17 years ago. It's very expensive. There's not enough of it. And it's getting worse. And if people can't get to work, that affects our economy, it affects our city, it affects our population. It is not just a family problem, it is a workforce problem that we all should be addressing. And then finally, public spaces. I want to be able to bring people together. I think we're all missing that connection piece post-COVID, and I want to be able to have those spaces where people can gather and communicate and be with each other.
Okay, Luke?
I agree, infrastructure, streets, we've been doing the smoke testing on the sewers, that's all stuff that's important too. I'm going to focus on something that we've done in the past, and it's called the Human Services Fund. when I was first elected, it was a fund that had, I think it was either $70,000 or $75,000 that the city allocated to it, and then it was dispersed by a group of volunteers to all the different nonprofits in town, food banks, Raising Readers, PTA, all those types of organizations could apply for part of those funds to do whatever programming they wanted to do. And then at some point, when the state was changing some of the tax structures that we could have, we had to cut the budget a little bit. We reduced that down, and it's slowly been reduced down multiple years to now it's getting, I believe, $35,000 in our past year. And it's only serving essential services like food banks, clothing like Harmony Closet, and shelters, so like places that offer rent assistance, after-school programs, that type of thing. I want to see that program see an increase in funding, at least double, I think. All of our food banks, free meal services like Food at First have seen exponential growth in their need. Homelessness has been growing in our town as well. We need to invest and help those people get on back on their feet. Investing in Human Services Fund, I think, at least doubling. I'd like to see it more than that, up to $100,000 to make up for what we were at, and then go above and beyond to make up for lost time and expand it to all of the additional nonprofits in our town that are serving our community as well. So I think that would be a great improvement to quality of life for a lot of people in town. NCRC would be one of the benefactors as well. We used to fund them, we cut the funding, and now they're having a tough time financially, so including them in that so that they can see a little bit of assistance would be good as well.
Charlie.
I think the same thing as far as the infrastructure goes. I mean, we have some serious issues with our streets and sidewalks and drainage. I know that it's real expensive. I think $1 million a block to do underground and everything. I think there's some places where, you know, we just need to grind and recover some streets, repave some streets to get us some time, at least so you don't knock your teeth out when you're driving down them. But there's a serious infrastructure problem that we need to address in this town, and we need to try to address it and fix it without the least amount of minimal interference with the people that live on the streets that we have to do. You know, a year or so ago, we had one street sat here empty for months because there was no sub-base, because our engineering firm didn't do their job, didn't do their due diligence, and then when it was tore up, it was too late. And then we didn't have funds. So, but the infrastructure to me, for being the county seat, we got some of the worst roads in town, and we got a lot of nice facilities, there's no doubt about it. And every single one of them costs us a lot of money to run. And I think sometimes we price ourselves out of the marketplace and send people to Ames. I think prices need to be reduced and increase the usage of some things. It could work, it might not, but you got to try something different if we keep having a red bottom line on a lot of these things that we build.
Dean?
Being sixth in line, I half inclined to say me too. A lot of these things that have been mentioned. Barb referenced the Nevada 2040 plan, and a lot of these things that have been mentioned are in that plan. It's on the city's website if people want to take the time to look through it, and it kind of strategically sets out the goals of the city for the I guess 15 years ahead of us now. It was a 20-year plan when we worked on it together with not just the city, but the NEDC, Main Street Nevada, community members that were on that committee. It was a very diverse group of people that were brought in to put this together, and so a lot of these things are on there. Infrastructure, I mean, it's been said, it's true, we need to work on it. A lot of it's a matter of walking and chewing gum at the same time. We need to be able to grow our tax base to have the resources, because it is so expensive to build these roads. That's why things like job expansion, housing expansion, these types of things help bring in more tax revenue, which is going to help fund a lot of those things. In these next few years, we're going to have a lot of development agreements with these companies that have been doing these expansions coming off the books, and hopefully opening up new lines of revenue to be able to address a lot of these infrastructure problems, because we do have a lot of them. Everyone else has said it, and they're completely right. Childcare, I would agree. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. They're expensive to take care of. It's hard to find daycare that's available and affordable, and again, we don't want to price ourselves out of being able to be affordable for young families to move here, so I'll yield my 30 seconds.
Ryan.
I'm one of those rare exceptions that the old infrastructure in town actually helps. The city doesn't know where my water comes into my house. It was built too long ago. No, I'm kidding. We need a comprehensive infrastructure plan. I was speaking with our city engineer about this. There hasn't been an actual comprehensive plan for infrastructure in Nevada for a long time. Dane mentioned the 2040 plan, and I was speaking with a citizen a little earlier this week. That plan was developed during COVID, and turnout participation was remarkably low, probably likely to COVID. The other thing that I would really like to see, Dane, I'll see your 2 kids and give you 2 more. I have 4. Things like the field house are amazing. They're also prohibitively expensive for someone that doesn't have a single child. The pool, likewise. We didn't have a family pass at the pool this year. My family wasn't able to go as often, just couldn't afford it. So the only other thing that I would say is, like Luke, the Human Services Fund needs to be increased. That need is only going to get bigger as things become more difficult, not just on a local level, a national level. We're seeing food costs go up. Food at First is doing about 450 meals a night now. So, and I'll yield my 30 seconds as well.
That will take us to our next question. Some of these overlap, but maybe you'll think of something that will add to what a person has said before. What transportation issues will arise from closing 6th Street highway access? How will Lincoln Way be impacted? How will the city respond? And we'll start with Andy this time.
Well, again, as a plumber, the traffic's going to be moved to Airport Road. And that has always been the complaint for all of the discussion. 6th Street's probably going to close. Nobody's happy about it. I mean, I can say whatever I want to say about it, that we shouldn't keep it open, keep it a right turn in, a right turn out. It's probably not going to happen. So a lot of traffic's going to move to Airport Road, and it's not ready for it. And it flooded over and over and over this year. I was out at Bill McBride's, and it just remained flooded. Doug Cowser and I worked out there, got him some pumps, and Tim Hadley, I'm sure, is also aware. The road becomes impassable and stays that way, and it backs up into the yards. And Bill's a pretty good-natured guy, but he was flooded. So I was out there, and I put a call in to Ryan and laid it out, I think, pretty clearly at the time. Whatever plan there was had to be expedited, that we couldn't wait to start construction of the Airport Road interchange and then say, well, we have a problem here. We need to get it taken care of now. We need to have a plan. It should be widened. It should have better runoff. So I don't have a whole lot that I can say about transportation in and out. Lincoln Highway is going to get busier. East side of town is going to get busier. But the emergency we have is Airport Road. Of all the other planning we want to do, that one we have to do, there's no way around that I know of, is deal with Airport Road. And there has to be a plan now, so that while they're working on the interchange, we're working on the road. We can't wait for an emergency and then inconvenience all the businesses we have out there after we prove it's an emergency and then have them go through 2 construction seasons. We need to budget the money now. It needs to be going on during the interchange construction.
Melissa?
I remember this has been a talking point for 20 plus years. I used to live across the highway, and I remember riding my bike across that highway, and it was like Frogger. You ever see that game? Very scary. So I'm really glad that we do have that overpass now, because I believe that has really connected that side of town to the main point of town, and I have lots of friends over there that they're riding their bikes back and forth, and I think that's a safe way for them to get here. I know that that interchange is coming, and I agree that Airport Road needs to be addressed prior to that. There's no drainage, it's not prepared for that. I worry about the truck traffic that's gonna end up coming down that road, and if that's gonna deter those roads faster, because we've got the manufacturing down there, which is great, but we have to plan for that. We have to look ahead, what could be the problems, what can we plan for ahead of time. The only thing that we have control of is what we can do. We have no control that the road is closing, we have no control where they're putting it, but we can be proactive and, let's put up signage. Think about where we are, how do we pull people in from the highway to be able to get them to come here to be on 6th Street, because people aren't gonna know. So maybe we put up some billboards, maybe we do some sort of signage, or there's all sorts of things that we could do, but I think we just need to be talking about it. Luke?
Well, as a pilot, I'm always a little disappointed that Airport Road doesn't have an airport on it, but I don't think we're going to be adding one there anytime soon. Andy hit the nail on the head with Airport Road is going to need to be addressed before the or at least have a plan for it before the interchange starts. I wish I remembered off the top of my head when the interchange is slated. I think it's 29. Okay, so 4 years from now, 3 to 4.
Don't quote me on that.
28. Okay, well, so we have time. We do have time to plan and figure out the drainage issues and all that stuff. The part of the question referenced how it's going to affect Lincoln Highway. I do know that Lincoln Highway is on the schedule for being repaved soon, in anticipation of having more traffic coming from either Airport Road or 19th Street to address that. But obviously that's 19 blocks of road that would need to be done, and as Charlie said, he's right, if we take out the road and all of underneath and fix it all one time, it's $1 million a block. And that was when we did downtown in 2021, so I'm sure the cost has gone up. So that's quite the undertaking that obviously cannot be done in one day or one season or 1 year. So getting ahead of all of that in anticipation of the increased traffic that's going to be coming from the outside and in is obviously a concern. The other big concern is downtown businesses who are losing that direct entry from 6th Street into town. I know they all have strong concerns about that. And one of the biggest things, I think Melissa kind of touched on it a little bit, is signage. If you drive through on Highway 30 through Nevada, you do not see a whole lot of signs that say Nevada next exit, or Nevada next 3 exits, or welcome to Nevada, or something like that. And I know there's been talk about trying to delay that until after the interchange is in, so that we don't move stuff around. But being several years away, I think we can definitely come up with a sign that says welcome to Nevada between now and then, or Nevada next 2 exits, something along those lines to help bring people to downtown, direct them to downtown.
Charlie?
Well, we went through this years ago, and Al Copeland, Randy Collins, and I had 29 meetings with the DOT. We had exactly what we wanted. We had the interchange down here where the overpass is now. We had a tight diamond on the north side. We had on and off ramp on the south side that everything would have drained into 6th Street. Airport Road would have closed. The interchange would have went out to 600th Street, which would have kept all the truck traffic going straight to the ethanol plants. It would have kept it away from downtown. We fought the DOT and we won. But our city council, during COVID, there was a meeting called to decide how long that bridge needed to be. And I said to Tony Gustafson, head of the DOT, what are we talking about this for? This is already done. He said, well, we just need to know if you want a long bridge or a short bridge. And I said, what's that mean? He says, that means the difference of where the interchange is going to be. And we got voted out. The city council voted to close 6th Street. The only person that didn't vote for it is sitting right here. And one thing I could not believe is that we're spending $9 million on Main Street and then we're going to close it off. And nobody seemed to care. And when COVID was going on, you know how many people were at the meeting? 16. And then everybody comes and complains. And I'm like, where were you then? 29 meetings with the DOT we went to, and we had what we exactly wanted. We had 1,600 signatures of what the people at the town wanted, and the city council ignored us all. So, selling my business now when I did, thank God, because I didn't want to be around to see what would happen with the lack of traffic that would be coming by my business now, because it's going to be forced in and out by my competitors. So we're in for a rude awakening when that happens, and we need to try to do something about it. But now you're going to put it down a road that we're going to have to fix first, that we wouldn't have had to mess with before.
Dave?
Yeah, like I think it was Luke mentioned, Lincoln Highway is planned to be dealt with in the next few years, which is definitely a huge issue. And Airport Road, it's been mentioned as well. We do need to get ahead of that and figure out where that funding is coming from, because it is something that's going to be essential to traffic, not just on Airport Road, but also coming downtown. Lincoln Way is basically going to be the entrance to town now, and that's what people are going to see first. And if you drive down there right now, they could use some work. So that's going to be a huge deal. And again, it's not cheap, but it's got to be a priority. I know we keep hammering on infrastructure, and it's still true. You know, the DOT came to us in 2020. They said, give us an answer. And we did the work that we needed to do to have meetings within those confines. It certainly didn't happen at an ideal time for anybody, but that was the decision that was made. And you know, through the last 8 years of building relationships with the people in Ward 4, I'm pretty confident that's what the people in Ward 4 wanted. So,
Right.
Well, I'm with Luke and Charlie on this. So far, anyone I've spoke to in town has not been in favor of closing 6th Street, be that as it may. That ship is closed, or sailed. We have some other issues as far as Airport Road goes, Lincoln Way goes, and this new interchange. The semi-traffic is going to tear up whatever road we build, no matter what. So, yes, we have to get in front of it. The semis are still going to travel on that road and destroy it as that interchange is being built. It's not going to be a short time. The amount of semi-traffic on that is going to be pretty harmful, aside from the fact that it's going to inconvenience everybody in town. Likewise, like Dane said, Lincoln Way is going to be the way into town for Nevada for a lot of folks. It's also going to be blocked by semi-traffic a lot. This goes back to having actually a comprehensive infrastructure plan and having this planned out before it happens.
Barb?
I'm thinking about Airport Road, and I've heard too, as Andy alluded to from the start, that property owners out there, with all of the rain we've had, it's been challenged. Everything that happened in the building of that, the curbing, the lack of enough places that the water can go, has just demonstrated the weaknesses in this year. Lincoln Highway in places is much the same. The flooding has pointed out a great deal of some of our weaknesses. And so you can take a look at the construction plan, the plans, the dates that are listed on the website. It's a plan where you can start to see when the saving, when as a city we're anticipating spending money, and how it is that we're sending money towards that pocket to prepare. We did the same thing for a wastewater treatment plant. And so I think at this point, we just need to take seriously what we saw, and not just say, oh, that was, once in 20 years flood kind of thing. No, there's critical issues that need to happen both on Lincoln Way and on Airport Road in order to accommodate the growth.
Okay, we'll start with Melissa this time. Tell us how you will grow Nevada to attract additional businesses to Nevada, not just Main Street. Melissa.
So everything is circular. When you're talking about how we're gonna grow the community, it has to be done in a plan. It has to be done smart. We have to make sure that we're looking at what is Nevada missing, what are businesses that can complement businesses we already have, what are some businesses that we can expand or help expand that are wanting to help them to get to their goals. So the more businesses we have, it's like what comes first, the people or the business? They have to happen at the same time almost. You have to bring in the new families and the new people to be able to serve those businesses, and those businesses need those people to be able to live here. So we have to be thinking critically about how do we bring both of those things up at the same time. We also need to be planning ahead about, okay, so if we're going to be growing our community and our businesses, what are some of those amenities that we're going to need to bring those people in? We're going to be competing with places that are, have much more funding than we do because they have more residents. And so how do we get over that hurdle? What kind of things are available for helping in that? What are the things that the people here want and the people that we want to bring here want? So I think it's a lot about planning, it's a lot about thinking ahead and going from there.
Lou?
We've spent a lot on downtown grants, building or business tax incentives, that type of thing, for development and improvements and expansions and all that type of stuff. I think it's important that we shift gears a little bit on that, because that's a little bit of a trickle-down economic theory, and I think we need to invest in the foundation, which I believe is our people, a little bit more. I think long-term downtown and business success comes from investing more in the people who live here, like I've said before, whether it's for human services or anything like that. Helping out our before and after school programs succeed, make sure people aren't hungry, make sure people have clothes. The people here are the greatest asset. If we invest in them first, the return on that investment will be in the form of more economic infusion of their dollars into downtown businesses, or in demand for more jobs, or demand for more employers for those people. So if we invest in our people, I think that will in turn bring a demand for downtown business and for more employees in town.
Charlie?
I kind of have to agree with Luke on this one, because I said years ago when I was on the NEDC, we need housing. We need housing first. Businesses can't survive without people. If we don't have places for people to live in town, businesses aren't going to survive. And at that point in time, I was told that we weren't in the business of housing back then. I tried to get them to buy the ground north of town that's currently being renovated now for housing that Henry's had bought and now sold off to an investment firm. I talked to a couple builders about coming to Nevada, and I was not against the field house, but I was not an advocate for it, because I knew what it was going to cost to run it. And you got to look at the long term. What does it cost? How many people do we have that's going to help pay for it? And my point back then was, housing is what we need. It'll build the tax base. Then when we get more people here, then we can do this stuff. Then we can do some of this stuff. But you can't put the cart before the horse and then wonder why are we failing. The businesses uptown that we have on Main Street, most of them are restaurants. We don't have enough people to come eat here every night. I mean, I had a very successful business and with my food, but yet there was days that if I had to survive on that alone, no, wasn't going to do it. So I believe that housing is where we need to be, housing and infrastructure, to get people to town, and then we can build the amenities, and the businesses will come if there's a population to support it.
Dane?
Having spent the last 8 years on the Economic Development Committee on City Council, I've had the opportunity to be part of a lot of these conversations with regards to the expansions and the recruitment of new business out in the west end of town, as well as the Burke expansion, mid-states, etc. It's really a holistic thing, and it all works together. I think Melissa kind of touched on this already, but you know, you have to have the housing for the people to live in, you have to have the jobs for the people to work at. We don't want to be a bedroom community. We've got a great downtown district with a lot of opportunity, I think, for more growth as we go forward and we see the new housing opportunities and projects come in. We need housing, not just housing, but affordable housing. It's expensive, just as childcare is, just as everything is, to buy a new house right now, and it kind of blows my mind the price point of even some of the new housing we're doing right now. So we need to be all inclusive and be looking at a diverse range of housing, not just high-end housing. But we have to have the housing, we have to have the jobs, we have to have the amenities, things like the bike trail. There's a lot of communities that would kill for our trail system. It's a phenomenal system. Any nice day you go out on that trail and you see people out walking, bike, and walking their dogs, that's a great thing for our community. And so the trail expansion has been, again, I think part of improving those amenities. The field house, even if there are things I think that we can work on from a price point with that and the pool, but it all works together. And you know, as far as the Main Street District goes, employers too, when they expand or when they move to town, they want those amenities to be able to make it attractive for their employees to come here.
Right.
I somewhat dislike the term bedroom community, like it's a bad thing. Nevada's a small town. Our population hasn't exactly grown over the last 20 years. We're basically at 7,000 people. We've been at 7,000 people for a long time. Part of that is because Ames is the neighbor. They have a lot of the amenities that Dave and Melissa are talking about. I'm kind of a free market guy. I don't think that you spend $500,000 for a building because you want to build a particular business in there. The support for that business isn't in town. The market couldn't support it. That's why it wasn't developed before, and it fails. It does nobody any good. It hurts the people with the business. It hurts the city. So I'm not saying that we couldn't help those businesses if they chose to pursue that path, but coming up with a plan, being like, well, we're going to put this business here, that doesn't work. Not in our society. The market determines what goes where. Good schools, that's what brings people to town. A lower cost of living, not having water that's priced at the cost of liquid gold. Those are the things that bring people to town. When I moved here from Ames, it wasn't because there was a field house, it's not because there was a wonderful trail system. I told Barb I couldn't afford to live in Ames. She was like, why don't you look at Nevada? That was 25 years ago. That's what brought me to town, a lower cost of living.
And an invitation.
Yeah, well, there was that.
Well, no, yeah, because when we think about moving forward as a thriving community, and the question included beyond Main Street, and so opportunities when we think about not just amenities, but where can that housing be? Where can that childcare be? Where can we have those neighborhoods that allow people to be in a relationship, to care about each other, and to really consider how thriving community can impact the whole community? Because if you take a step forward and you be more intentional about infrastructure, then something else is going to take a back seat, or there's going to be new kinds of needs that are created. And no matter what one thing happens, there's going to be influence that already exists. So that balanced approach to thinking about, we could add 500 new living places, but is school ready? What happens if the school buses hit the road without, some of that's a little on the ridiculous side, but you start to think about how things can point and pong around. We just really have to think about that beyond Main Street part of the question. How can our neighborhoods embrace and make room for some of the things that people need most in order to be, and where we can invite people and serve their needs.
Andy?
Hopefully we get to circle back to this, because this is the one that I'd like to talk about. I'm going to be the outlier on this. I'm from Charles City. We lost Oliver White Farm when I left Charles City, left high school. We had the second highest unemployment rate in Iowa. I came here, thought I hit the land of milk and honey. Everybody had a job. And twice on national TV, I've seen that Story County has the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. And part of it was because towns our size get 75% of their taxes from residential, 25% from commercial. We get 50-50. We have low unemployment, and we got a good budget because of jobs. If you add housing, because of Iowa's property tax rollback, housing is a drain on the local economy. And I'm unwilling to put abatements on houses to help out-of-town developers use out-of-town labor, to use out-of-town material, to sell houses to people who don't want to live here unless we pay for it. That's having everybody that is here subsidizing somebody that isn't here. So I'm not for housing developments unless it's organically. If the argument is people can't afford to live here unless we subsidize it, that's like me saying, I want a new tractor, but I wish somebody would pay for it for me. I believe in manufacturing, and that's about it. Other than that, I feel it's meddling. I don't want to attract retail businesses to compete with our retail businesses. If we're going to do anything outside of trying to attract manufacturing, I think it would be to strengthen the businesses that are already here. Manufacturing brings money to town, and then it's free market for everybody to try to divide it up after that. Hopefully we have the services to do it. But and the problem with saying that is manufacturing. How do you do it? I don't know how you do it. It's a 10-year thing, and we might bring one manufacturer. It's a slow slog. It's not very romantic, which is why we do all the other projects, because they're achievable. But with the property tax rollback, bringing more people to town is just bringing more people to town. If I wanted to live in a town of more people, I could do that. Most of the time, more people doesn't make me happier.
Okay.
Got it out. I was moving.
Andy has spoken. Okay. And I don't know the background of this, but where do you see public safety in Nevada in 5 years? And we start with Luke.
The dreaded question I have to answer first.
Well, this is good then.
Where do you see public safety in 5 years? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think our public safety department's doing a pretty good job. I haven't seen any specific crime numbers, but crime seems to be low. And we have a very young police department specifically, and that's for sure. But we, at the times, we're having a really tough time in staffing that police department, because we would hire them. They'd go to Ames after they got trained here and their training was paid for. They would go to Ames or somewhere else, and then we would just keep cycling people through the academy. But we haven't had to do that in a while now. So I feel like the leadership we have in public safety right now is doing a pretty good job in maintaining people, training people. They're all, for the most part, a young police force, and I think they're doing relatively well. Somebody's going to give me a gotcha on that that I don't know about. And I don't feel like that's a great answer, but I feel like we're doing well in public safety.
Charlie?
Well, with two boys in law enforcement, you know, the big problem with Nevada for all these years has been we just can't compete with the salary levels. So we get the kids that come out, we put them through the academy, and the minute they get their academy reimbursement taken care of, they're gone, because we don't have the wherewithal to keep them. I mean, and it's not just here in Nevada, but I think we've done a pretty good job here lately of being able to retain officers. And I don't have any issues with the public safety department the way it's being ran right now. I think they've done a pretty doggone good job, and on a shoestring budget, really. And when you see how Polk County runs and West Des Moines and stuff, where my boys are involved, I mean, their money's double or triple. So for us to be able to hold somebody, we have to hope that the deputies, or I call them deputies, but that move here want to be here, that want to be in a small town, and that won't uproot themselves to go chase bigger money somewhere. So we just have to be competitive with the pay. I think I'd like to have it as that we don't have turnover, that we have the days of old Dave Lilland and Steve Smith and all those guys that retired here. That would be nice to have.
Dave?
I think we've got a great leader right now in Chief Brandis with the Public Safety Department. I'm impressed with the ability we've had recently to retain staff. Thinking back to when I started here on council 8 years ago, there's not a lot of faces that were here then that are here now. But I think that the chief has done a good job in helping with that. We did a wage study a few years ago that did help make the starting wages a little more competitive. Also talked about incentives for keeping people around after they were done with their training, so they didn't just immediately jump ship. We hate to pay for training and then basically train them for somebody else and they leave right away and then you hire somebody else to do that again. So been able to work on that. The fire department, we've been able to really be on the front end of a lot of cutting edge technology. Our chief has been on top of a lot of that, the ultra high pressure system, which uses a lot less water to respond to fires. The stopper devices for oxygen fires, things like that. Public safety is more than just the police. Of course, there was the demand a few years ago for a community resource officer at the school, or school resource officer at the time, and so we've got an officer now working that job at the schools as well. So it's a whole thing. The ambulance service is another thing that we're going to be dealing with, I think, a lot more in coming years. We've got Story Medical, fortunately, locally, but they've got to go out on calls. Our fire and EMS gets called out on a lot of calls as well, and that's going to keep, their demand goes up. We've had more and more calls, I think, every year, more calls for service. So finding creative ways to get people to be involved with that and give them the resources they need as well.
I don't really know that I have a lot to add here. Pretty much the same sentiment as everybody else has had. Part of me wanted to make a joke that if things keep going like they are, we'll just live in the Mad Max times. But no, Chief Brandis, fire chief, has been doing great. I haven't had any real complaints.
Barb? As I think about public safety, what's changed in the last 5 years? What do we expect? What do we expect from those people? What does it mean to be a first responder? So we start to think about public safety in 5 years. Is the staffing organization the way it is now? Is that, I don't have any answers to these questions. I'm just trying to think about how much has changed already in the last 5 years. So what does that mean? Where's the focus going to be? What are we going to need? Can we collaborate with Story County? They're right here. Do we need to relocate ambulances to the fire department so that they go out? You know, when they go out, is that the best use? How? You know, there just seems to be a lot of questions wrapped up in that question. For me personally, I honestly don't have any way to see or hear what's happening with public safety right now, other than because I'm not currently sitting on the council. But I don't hear anything about public safety in my kitchen on Mondays and Thursdays.
Andy?
This has been a discussion for as long as I've been watching meetings. Mike Tupper was a great chief. Jeff Hewlin was phenomenal for short term, for fill-in. I really like Rick Martinez. Brandis is great. We've had good leadership. We've got good sergeants. We don't have a way to advance anybody if you're here and the sergeants aren't moving. It isn't all just pay. It's the fact there's not much room to grow. The problem is, every time it's come up, we've looked at the county. The county's right here. That's an easy answer. Go with the county. They're already right here, and it's a good service. But they've been unwilling to guarantee like for like, that if we have 2 officers on around the clock, they've been unwilling to guarantee 2 officers around the clock. We have a balance of trying to provide the service effectively and cost effectively. And so far, we've gone along with it. Unfortunately, my take on it right now is probably a wait and see. I think the nuts and bolts of it, the unfortunate answer is with the raise we gave the city administrator. The next time we get to collective bargaining, every employee is going to latch on to, we gave them a 30% raise, across the board they deserve it. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see a lot of ask, and we're going to be able to retain officers at a higher pay, but it might not be cost effective to do it. So that would be my wait and see, is to see what collective bargaining does. Because again, like I said, I work with the employees daily. I'm outside working with the employees. And that was the comment the day after. It was immediate. It's on everybody's mind. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a decision forced on us, is if collective bargaining comes back and everybody wants a 30% raise, we're going to be cutting some employees.
Melissa?
I think our public safety has done a really great job. I've never felt unsafe. The worst case scenario is, someone's driving down my street too fast, and that's ends up on Facebook somehow. And our leadership has been great. I would love for us to be able to invest more into these people, because they are good people and they are part of the community, and we would love to keep them here. It's how do we manage the budget? How do we manage that with the other things? There's a give, there's a take, and that is something that's going to have to be discussed when budget time comes.
This here, it's going to get political, because I've got 2 questions here, and they're very related. And I'm going to read both of them, and we'll start with you, Charlie. There has been some pretty vocal divisions expressed in Nevada politics over the last months, years. How will you go about working to bring people closer together and ensure that accurate information is being shared? I want to read the other question because they're close enough. How will you work together with people who may have a different opinion or political party than you? How do you come to a decision for the good of the community when you disagree?
Well, I don't care if you got a D or an R in front of your name when you're representing the city of Nevada. You got to be able to rationalize what you're wanting. You got to be able to show the cost savings or the cost expense. And from a business standpoint, 47 years in business, I must have did okay. I didn't go broke, but I have real life experience on balancing budgets and everything else. I'm not saying that everything that I do is 100% right. I was this close to bankruptcy one time, and I made the right decisions, and I became progressive instead of reactive and turned everything around. But some people, bigger isn't always better. It's not, I hate to say it like this, but it'll come back to some of the amenities that I didn't support in the beginning. Well, we have them now, but we're paying the price now. And my point then was, how are you going to pay for these after they're built? And I was basically told to shut up. I did my due diligence, and I presented my due diligence. It wasn't what everybody wanted. So time moves on. But I think I can be a pretty persuasive guy with common sense and numbers. And it just depends if the city budget and, the cost per capita. If we don't have people here, the cost is high. If we have a lot more people living here, the cost lowers. But I can negotiate with about anybody.
So, A couple different ways to go with those questions. First and foremost, as far as the tone of politics and working together, I mean, I think I've had the opportunity to do that over the last 8 years, building relationships in Ward 4, the recent parking ordinance change and the new addition south of the high school being a good one. I got several messages from people concerned about that, asking about the process, went back, got information from Chief Brandis about how we reach these decisions, and in every one of those cases, you know, they were wanting more information. They were kind of upset about the result of our decision. Went back and just shared that information, and every one of those cases is like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm not really against it anymore. That's not always going to be the case, obviously, but when you have those relationships, you can have those conversations respectfully, and sometimes you just end up disagreeing, and that's fine. As far as working together and as far as the tone and things go, I mean, I'm not going to put my opponent's name on a yard sign and let a 6-year-old read about it. That's not necessarily the way to build bridges, but you know, we move forward, we work together, and we do what's best for Nevada.
Ryan.
Well, I have been, as far as partisan politics, I have some of the most right people I can think that support me, and I have some of the most left people that can support me. The thing about city politics is it doesn't really matter too much. The biggest issue that I had to deal with immediately was the med building, the old Surrey County Medical Building. And I think the way that you deal with people is you listen to them. That's the biggest thing, is people want to be heard. They don't want to be blindsided by decisions that were made in secret some time ago and find out about it later. That's been part of my philosophy, is to have people that I don't necessarily agree with on my team. That's why I appointed who I appointed on planning and zoning. I want people to tell me what I don't know, what I can't see, what I'm not thinking of. If I have somebody saying they're telling me yes all the time, then something's wrong. There should always be somebody saying, no, you're not thinking of this. And I think that's how I get along. You know, as far as partisan, I don't think I've really run into that so much here. It's more a resistance to having new people, fresh ideas coming in.
Barb.
Nevada is not of one mind. We don't see the world through the same eyes. We don't have the same needs, even from one neighborhood to the next. But still, we're, as leadership especially, and as mayor, we're still committed to be providing quality public services that meet needs. So we need to figure out how to keep the vision as leadership, so that everybody can share responsibility for meeting those challenges and achieving our goals. So people are, everybody's listening, everybody's that truly nonpartisan way of creating solidarity, even in the midst of like disagreements, because we have to be able to listen, we have to be able to hear, we have to be able to set aside the labels that we put on people, and for me personally, I just try not to advance what I think someone's going to say before they've even had a chance to say it, just because of what we've heard, of what we've seen prior. People can change their mind. People can say something that makes everything clear. I want to encourage people to work with one another in a relationship. So, as I said before, where issues have faces, so we can listen and we can hear, so that we can be together. We're not big enough to have divisions, but we can disagree for the good of the people.
Andy.
I'm not much of a people person, probably not real persuasive, using an emotional argument, and I'm going to list a concrete example, and it's uncomfortable. The Med Center, I was against it, the old hospital. I was against the project, and there was a lot of people that didn't want it for their neighborhood, didn't want the blight. I ignore a lot of stuff. That wasn't on it for me, but I looked at it, and with a dollar purchase, and a 10-year abatement, and a property tax rollback, and what I assumed was an out-of-town owner, out-of-town management, out-of-town contractors, out-of-town material, there's very little payoff for Nevada. There's no incentive that I could see 10 years to get payback on it than a 50% of that. And at 60 apartments at close to $1,000 a piece and $900, there's $54,000 of cash being strip mined from the community. And I said that, and that's math. And the city has, I feel bad about it because I want to work with people, but they have the ability to put propaganda out. They use their outlets to say it would be a local property manager and local contractors, try to use local material and borrow money locally, and that they had a plan to put 2.5 parking spots in. And I feel I told the truth, but I'm not very persuasive, apparently. If I'm on city council, I want to put out true facts. I don't want to use our news outlets for propaganda to convince people that we're getting a good idea. We just need to put out the truth. As far as working with people, I work with people every day. I think I do that. And a lot of people know that I've been involved with kind of a lengthy fight with the city. And whether I'm right or wrong, whether I win or I don't, I fill out my card, I take the podium, I take my time limit, I sit down, and I go home. I think I've proved that I can be as civil as I can be, considering I felt that my family has been wronged and I'm fighting.
Melissa.
So glad somebody asked this question. Politics has been an issue as I've been walking around talking to people. And it is something that I've struggled with because this seat is a nonpartisan seat for a reason, because nothing we are doing at this level should be partisan. We should be looking at what's best for Nevada. And so I've, had the door slammed in my face because I refuse to say what side I'm on. And because that doesn't matter. What matters is, what am I going to do? What am I going to put forward? What are my skills? Who's best for the job? Not which way a person leans. So I'm glad somebody brought it up. Throughout my whole career, I've had to have lots of tough conversations with people. You've had to let people go. You've had to make corrections. Those conversations need to happen calmly and respectfully. If you can't disagree with somebody without yelling or saying hurtful things, that's not a very productive conversation. Nobody's going to get anything out of it that they want. We all disagree on everything. Not two people in the entire world agree on everything. And so we have to look at each other as we are neighbors. I should be able to disagree with you and still walk out and be able to, see you in church or see you in the grocery store and not feel bad about that. I feel like most people get upset because they feel like they haven't been listened to. So listening to people is really important, as well as explaining the why on why you made that choice. So there has been mistakes made, I think, at our leadership level that we can learn from. And that's what I want to bring.
Lou.
I like what the mayor said about seeking out and making sure that somebody is in the room that disagrees. I think that's a good policy to have. Going back, historically, I replaced Andy on the council. He was on for a number of years, as he said, and he didn't run for re-election. It was an open seat, and I wanted to replace him. And he and I talked a little bit over the years of those 4 years that I was on, and obviously he has a wealth of knowledge and schooled me a lot on how I was wrong. And he was usually right. And so I didn't always knock on his door as loudly as I did on other doors. But But then I didn't run for re-election last time, and Andy and I's kids started dating. So that created an opportunity, I'll say, that Andy and I started talking a little bit more, and we've since become friends. But what Andy said one time stuck with me, and this was years ago. And if you know Andy's politics, you know my politics, we don't always disagree. We might actually have the same idea of what we want, but we kind of disagree on how to get there sometimes. And Andy said something that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. He goes, I don't care about your politics, I just care that your heart's in the right place. And that says it right there for me 100%. If your heart's in the right place, I can find a way to work with you. I don't have to agree with you. If your heart's in the right place, I agree with you. Anybody who knows my politics and knows Charlie's politics knows that we do not agree on a lot of things. In fact, sometimes I think we're so far apart that we've reached back around at the back end of the circle in some things. But I know that from Charlie coming into council meetings and speaking, and I've spoken with at his gas station before, that he's always well-spoken and well-versed on whatever he's talking about. So I know that Charlie's heart is in the right place, and I can work with that. Even if we disagree, we can find a way to come to a solution somehow.
I would say the same thing, yes.
Yeah, good discussion. Thank you. And during this last question, that I think when they talk to the hospital, that's the med center. So, and this one here is, we'll see if everybody wants to talk to it. It says it's for Barb, but maybe all of you want to talk to it. And we'll start with Dane.
Sorry, Dane.
Do you at all feel any conflict of interest in your support of a hospital project, since the Methodist Church will benefit? And I don't know anything about it, so.
I do not feel any conflict of interest. No, I think this topic has been discussed a lot, and people have strong opinions about it, and I think that's fair. The fact of the matter is again, you know, Facebook has a mind of its own sometimes, and it runs away, and we take polls and things on Facebook and assume that those are scientific polls when they're just not. So, I mean, again, I represent Ward 4 on City Council. It's basically J and 8th and most of everything southeast of there. So, you know, having knocked those doors, having had conversations with those folks, I supported that project. I stated my projects at the time, or my reasons at the council meeting at the time, and I will defend that vote, and I feel that my constituents will back that up. So that's all I've got to say on that issue, and yeah, no conflict of interest.
Ryan?
No.
Have
I mean-
anything to say?
I don't have a conflict of interest other than I do donation pickup on Tuesdays for Barb.
No, but you don't do that for me.
Well, I mean, I guess it would make it a little further away for me to drop off donations. I'm not really going to speak a whole lot to that issue. Everybody that knows me knows my feelings about it. It was not a great situation. We were faced with not great choices. In the end, I think it was the lesser of two evils.
Barb?
Hi, I'm Barb. I currently serve as the community meal coordinator for Nevada Food at First. And Nevada Food at First has been challenged since COVID to care for our residents, to care for our neighbors, and to extend that concern for food insecurity and food access to those east and south and north of here. Eastern Story County, sorry, that was too close. Eastern Story County, because of some of the barriers related to food access. Folks don't have cars, they don't have grocery stores, and the farther they get out, as people have already suggested, from Ames to Nevada, housing is less expensive, but then there's the burden of transportation. At the time the conversation started with what was happening at the hospital, we were Nevada Food at First, hosted and housed at First United Methodist in Nevada across the street. The amount of food it takes for us to have on site was taxing the church's capacity to have us, we were taking up their space that they were using for program and ministry and mission. We were encouraged to have a conversation with the developers because they already had suggested to our leadership in this community, ADC, Main Street, Nevada, and the council at the time, I think, that that lower level was going to have some storage, public storage. It's climate controlled. I can plug in refrigerators. And it's not for me, it's for the service of providing access to food for people in Nevada and in Eastern Story County.
Barb, do you need more time?
I don't know. We'll let the rest of the folks talk and maybe, I don't,
Okay.
I think I've said as much as I can get myself into. I mean, it's not me, it's not about me or the church. The church is simply the host and they run our room.
I'm obviously not a fan of the project, and I'm not a fan of how it came about. It was a county property, would have been demoed by the county. Then it became a city property, and the cost per citizen would have been higher. We've got to do something about it. I fought it, I think, in a reasonable way. I spoke one time with about the same facts that I said tonight, and the next two meetings I got up and said that I oppose it and sat down. I think I was good about the opposition of it, and it went. And I'm a big believer in property tax rights. So they owned it. Game's over.
The library is now closed. We open tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you.
And I've pretty well left it alone since then. They own it. They went through the procedures. They've got it. They've got a plan. But there were a couple nights in a row I couldn't sleep. I'd pace around the house. I just had a stomachache about it. And I called Ryan, and a lot of people know I'm not a huge fan of the city administrator, but I asked for a meeting. It was important enough to me that I deal with somebody that I'm not a huge fan of. And I sat down, and I laid out the concerns again, same numbers I've given tonight, that I just don't see the benefit unless you have an ironclad development agreement. I was unfortunately on city council with the Syngenta project that fell through, and we bought the Reichert property, and we ate it. I made some mistakes. So I sat down and tried to show him the numbers, showed the property tax rollback, what it was, and I urged him to have a minimum assessed valuation, make it non-transferable. I want to make the best of a bad situation. They own it, it's there, it exists, the project's going forward. I want to at least make sure that we've got something buttoned up so the city gets something for it. So along with that, if it's a bad situation and Barb's charity makes it better, I'm all for that. I don't think she has a conflict of interest. I think it's a bad situation, but I'm for making it the best we can. So no conflict of interest with Barb. I'm glad that that's working out.
I have no conflict or anything more to say than what's already been said.
Luke?
Yeah, I don't have concerns about Barb having a conflict of interest with that. I also feel that had she been on the council or mayor at the time, she would have abstained from any votes that would have been involved or something like that. It's easy to say now, but I feel I've worked with Barb for many years. I'm also somebody who helps deliver for Food First. I don't see that as a conflict. Talking about the building project, we kind of have already talked about the building itself, and then we had the planning and zoning problem that came about with appointments to the planning and zoning. And the mayor spoke about it, and I've spoke about it. You know, we had appointments lined up to, the mayor had made a couple choices for people to appoint, and there was a lot of conflict about that. And then we decided we wanted to change the process on who we wanted to try to appoint, whether it's a mayor's choice or a council's choice. And we really got into a problem with people wanting to put, I believe, like-minded people who aren't going to rock the boat, so to speak. And the mayor wasn't, I don't think, trying to do that, but it was perceived he was trying to do it with the people who was willing to do it. And then we also spent a bunch of money in legal fees just to have the lawyer give us an opinion on whether or not we could do that and what the process was going to be and how we can do that. That was over $500 in legal fees that we spent just to figure out that the council can make the appointment that is interviewed by the mayor, basically. We need to do better at trying to enable people who have different opinions. We need to enable people like Mr. Faulkner here, who's in the crowd, who spoke out and said he disagreed and wanted to get involved, and the mayor appointed him to the Planning and Zoning Commission because he had a lot of knowledge, and he came to the meeting and gave some very good presentations on the subject. Whether you like the subject or not, the guy had a really good argument and came prepared, and the mayor wanted to do what he could to try to enable that. I think that's the type of leadership that we need. Looking forward from me or anybody else.
Okay, Carolyn.
I don't have any conflict with it. I wasn't a fan of it. I came and spoke against it every meeting, simply because the money wasn't going to be there. I mean, we weren't going to make anything off it. We're giving them a 10-year tax payment. I didn't get that. I didn't get anything like that. And I live here. And I went and looked at their project in Cedar Rapids, and I seen a lot of misinformation. But it is what it is now, and we got to make the best of it. I just hope that they follow through and live within the means and do what they say they're going to do, instead of because what I seen in Cedar Rapids wasn't anywhere close to what they said it was, not even close. So we just got to make the best of a bad situation now.
I think this will be our last question before we would go to closing remarks. And you've talked about your 2040 plan. We've talked about where you want to be in 5 years. And I don't know if this is any different. Maybe you'll just go through it real fast. What would be your 5-year plan for Nevada's residents and for its children and for development? It kind of shortens your 24 plan to 2030. So if you have something you would like to address on that, right?
I suppose I want all the children to be alive. And our wastewater treatment facility is finally up and running. That would be fantastic as well. In all honesty, what I'd like to see over the next few years is a reduction in the cost of living for Nevada residents. The schools are already great. I want to continue to see them do great. We have a good school board. They've been doing a good job of budgeting. We are going to be facing challenges. We all know this at this table, that money is going to get worse before it gets better. We're going to be looking at having to get a new water treatment plant. There's no way around that. We're going to need it. Everybody in this room knows that water's already expensive. It's probably going to get more expensive. There's no good in dancing around it or pretending like that this isn't going to happen, or that the wastewater isn't going to the new facility isn't going to cause rates to go up. It is. That's reality. That's where we live. Some of these choices were made before my time. That doesn't really matter. I hope that in 5 years, Nevada does continue to grow. I don't shy away from the term bedroom community. I like that. I like that I know my neighbors. I like that I know the business leaders downtown. I think that's great. I want Nevadians to be able to afford to live here.
When I think about 5 years, I think about...
Barb, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Barb.
And a dog park, sorry. Now it's okay.
I can't remember what I was thinking. I don't have a dog. I don't want a dog. I'm not a dog. Anyway, all right. So I'm thinking about households. It was what he said about households and being able to live here and being able to thrive. That's an important piece for me. Childcare, schools, being able to feed their family, being confident that they can care for their family and not struggle. That gets us to jobs. That gets us to infrastructure and the kinds of things that make it safe for people to be here. I think about already, we heard tonight about bicycle riders. being able to be safe, being able to access the places that they want to go. The amenities that exist are there, being able to get to them, being able to enjoy them. I think it's just important, we even heard already tonight about the whole Airport Road and Lincoln Highway, those gateways, those places that we can meet. People have been talking about that. Some of those seem to me to be something that we're already on the way with. We just need to figure out how to creatively meet the needs and provide what people consider a quality of life. To be able to care for the families and live here happily. And be in a position to invite people to join us. So we have a little population growth.
Andy.
I've watched 24 years of council meetings, and I've watched new council people great people get on a council and see the amount of money that runs through a city and think that that's a lot of money and think that they can accomplish some things with it. And about 3 years into it, they realize there's not a lot of discretionary funds left over. And I developed some fairly high blood pressure getting through the housing crisis 1 year running in the red. Don't want to do it again. Talking about cutting police escorts to funerals, raising the price on baby land at the cemetery. I'm pretty cautious about what I state that I want to do. I want to get through the current projects. I want to get the wastewater treatment plant online, and after that, I think a lot of the projects are set. I don't think there's much discussion on Airport Road. It has to be done. We've got to start doing the study on the water treatment plant. It has to be done. After that, anything that I bring to the table that I want to do is a wish list. We've got to address what we have to do. The one thing that I see out there that needs to be addressed is I think there has been an issue brewing on Main Street. We have a Main Street Nevada group. And we've got another group of primarily, and a large part of them, Main Street building and business owners that are feeling underrepresented. We've got a group that's supposed to be representing the downtown building and business owners, and a lot of the owners aren't feeling that way. I don't know that I want to scrap or undo anything that Main Street Nevada is doing, but we need, since that is an ongoing program, we need to find a way to make the downtown building and business owners feel part of the program, because we have two distinct camps and there's not much overlap at the moment. So for the next 5 years, the needed infrastructure that we don't have a choice on, get through the projects that we've got, and try to figure out how to solve Main Street.
Melissa.
So my goals for the next 5 years would be to find a solution for Nevada's childcare shortage, whether that is working with local organizations or changing policies and things that are creating barriers to bringing in new childcare facilities, championing policies that help local businesses grow, and having them feel supported by the city, and so that they're not feeling like there's a divide. Having the city, the community, the businesses all working towards the same goal and being able to see what that is, because we're going to have a plan for infrastructure. We're going to have a public plan for that, a public smart growth plan, so everybody knows where we're going. If you're in a business and the leadership doesn't have a vision, the managers below, they don't have the vision to share with their employees, there's no cohesive movement towards something. So we all have to be working together towards something. So improving that transparency, improving communication, and continue to listen to what people want. I would love to have a more diverse affordable housing, thriving downtown. There's lots of things that I would want. Whether or not they're feasible is another thing.
Lou.
There's a lot of things I'd like to do to increase quality of life. As I said earlier, I want to invest in the people who live here, and I think if we make this a better quality of life and help the people who live here thrive, that will help in economic development. And I'm going to list a few. Sidewalk repair and expansion. We used to have a sidewalk repair program. It kind of went away for several years. We are bringing it back this coming year. And I think that's good. The sidewalks get people out. You go and you walk your dog, you go out and you talk to people, and you get to know the people in your community. If you go on the north side of town, on the north side of the tracks, which is half of that is in my ward, there's almost no sidewalks. There are some, but a lot of them are just in front of two houses, and then it just ends in the grass yard. And you can go around town, that happens everywhere. We need to work on replacing the sidewalks we have and expanding on what we have. Go and try it. I go for runs in the morning sometimes, and trying to cross the 2nd Street Railway crossing is treacherous for a pedestrian because there are no sidewalks and there's a large hump to cross the tracks, so if a car is coming across, they can't even see you on the other side. Those are types of things that we can work on. Yard waste removal. We're just at the last meeting had the first part of the approval process for acquiring some property on the northwest corner of town that's going to be hopefully a park at some point, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to be doing a yard waste removal program where people can take their trees and limbs and leaves and stuff like that and put it there, and then the city hopefully can like maybe mulch it up, and then you can take mulch, and if you live in town you can do both of those for free. I think that's something that improves the quality of life for people in town, especially if you live in my part of town where there's leaves everywhere this time of year. Downtown beautification, we have a pretty good job of some nice flowers, flower pots and everything like that, but I think we can put some more permanent things in there by having some independent or donations for planters. I ran out of time, come on. Can I have Andy's time for a little bit?
I've already had any time left over? I think
Maybe it was Ryan. Maybe it was Ryan. Okay, all right. You'll see it on my Facebook page. I'm long-winded.
Charlie.
Well, I'd just like to, I'd like to see Nevada's population grow by 1,000 people every 10 years like it did in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And it's been flat ever since. And, you know, I'm not for handing out tax abatements for housing, like Andy said, but we have to be able to get people here because they want to move here. And if we have crappy streets and, you know, a myriad of unkept houses, we're not going to get that. You know, I mean, I said this before we built the field house. Nevada hasn't grown since, I think, 1990. It's been flat. And I love this town. I mean, I moved here. The school system is fantastic. You know, I grew up in Zering. I came over here and scooped the loop back in the 70s, you know. And I love this town. And it was very good to me. It took a lot of years to get through to everybody. But I want to grow the population. And when the population grows, business will grow as the people want it. The school system will figure it out. That's what the school board's there for. These are problems we hope to have. And I think the more we get, the more it drives down the pricing. It should drive down the pricing. So it's not nice to be thought about as the highest tax community in the county. And that's what keeps people away. You know, but any kind of housing that a housing development decides to put in, they're taking the risk. They know what kind of housing they're going to have, and it's up to them to find people to put in. And those people can move here just as easy as they can move to Ames. So that's what I'd like to see.
Dave?
I'm thinking back to 1992 when admittedly I was 6 years old, but I don't want to let go all George H.W. Bush and make any promises about taxes. We have a lot of challenges as a city that we have to make sure we're dealing with, but to Charlie's point, I hope that as we are able to see a little bit of population growth and more economic development, all the great expansions that we have from our local businesses, I would love to see us be able to have an opportunity to lower the levy if it doesn't affect the services we offer. That is an important caveat to that. So it's a goal. It is certainly not a promise, and I don't know if that's in 5 years, 10 years, when that is. I would love to see that as a member of the city council, but again, I don't want to make that promise. I'm going to use the rest of my time to talk about an entirely different thing that I think the city also, and it goes beyond city government, but I think it's important to say because it can never be said enough. Who remembers the derecho? After that happened, there were groups of people that got together and went around town and helped people clean up as a group of people. There were people in that group that I know I don't agree with a thing on city matters, on R versus D matters, anything like that. It didn't matter that day, and I want more of that. I see the Zafranos here. I know you guys are in Kiwanis. I know Luke's in Kiwanis. There's other people I know in here that are involved with groups like that as well. But our service organizations, you know, Main Street, we have dozens, literally dozens of nonprofit organizations in this town that focus on different things. Cubby's Cover, Food at First. All of them are always starving for volunteers. And if everyone in this community just gave a few hours a week, it would be amazing how much could be accomplished. So again, I know that's not really a city council matter specifically, but I think when you talk about taking pride in your community, I think it's an important thing. So I did want to say that.
I think this last question was kind of a summary. Does anybody up here have something they want to make a remark with? Otherwise, you are a very vibrant, get-along group. I think I envy a small town after hearing this tonight. So I think we'll go on to wrapping this up. So thank you for a very informative evening. I'd like to say that you could have another very informative evening here in Nevada. The League will come back on Tuesday evening, October 21st, and we will be doing a forum for the school board candidates, and it's going to be 6:30 to 8 o'clock. There aren't 7 of them, so. And it's going to be at the Central Elementary or Central Community Commons. You people know this better than I do. Okay. It'll be over there, and so you'll get to meet those candidates for the school board. So, plan to go and hear those people. I've enjoyed this evening. So, we want you to vote on November 4th, and you can vote if you're not already registered. There's various ways to register. I'm sure this group is. Who isn't registered here? See, I knew that. Oh, there you go. 16. Okay. So we won't even go into how you can register tonight. You can vote starting on October 20th. You can vote over here at the administration building for the county. Or if you're going to leave town for a couple weeks, you can request absentee ballots, and you can turn those into the auditor's office or mail it in. You can find those online. And if you've already requested an absentee ballot, those are sent from the auditor's office on October 20th, 18th in there. They have to be in the auditor's office by 5 o'clock on November 4th. So if you mail it on Monday, November 3rd, you probably won't get your vote counted. So I know how your vote here has to go to Des Moines, all over the place. So there's that. And we also have satellite voting over in Ames. So if you work in Ames, you can vote at the 60 Forward building on October 24th, and that's from 9 to 4. Or you can vote at the Ames Public Library on November 1st from 9 to 4. So there's opportunities. I would like to give a round of applause for your candidates for mayor.